everybody. My name is Greg Schwem. I am a business humorist, and I've been doing that for about the past 25 years, specifically doing corporate events. And welcome to, this is a virtual roundtable. We're going to be talking about the state of the events industry, which obviously has changed an awfully lot since this pandemic began, but it's not all gloom and doom. There's a lot of very positive things that are coming out of this pandemic in terms of how the events industry is evolving. Certainly it's evolved for me. Obviously there's no travel and hotels have shut down and so forth. And I could sit there and look at that and say, wow, I'm not going to have a career. I don't have a business. But the great thing about the speaking industry is that as a speaker, I'm speaking for myself right now, you're always evolving. And as a humorist, you're always evolving too. And what this pandemic has done for me, it's allowed me to really look at clients and ask myself, what do they want? What do they want to laugh at right now? I certainly don't believe that COVID-19 is funny, but I believe that there's an awful lot of humor that you can pull out of something like this, whether it's talking about homeschooling your kids or decorating your face mask or just doing what we're doing now. It's why I've developed a new presentation called You Can't Quarantine Laughter, which I've been delivering virtually for clients. And as strange at the outset as doing virtual comedy sounds, it's also very gratifying to hear people laughing and knowing that wherever they are, they're finding some humor in this tough situation. So that's kind of been my story, and I've enjoyed the challenge of reinventing myself. Again, you're always doing that when you do what I do, and you're trying to write jokes and so forth and see what makes people laugh and push their buttons. But I also want to bring in a few other people who are looking at this from an entirely different perspective. So let me start by bringing in John Truran, and John is the Senior Vice President of Keppler Speakers, a Washington, D.C. based speakers bureau. I am one of the speakers on Keppler's roster and have been for more than 20 years. But John, you have hundreds of speakers on your roster, and they are all in the same situation that I've just described. How is Keppler Speakers evolving, and let's talk about positives here. What has Keppler done to encourage more virtual, and what are you hearing from your clients?
Well, I think the great thing about being on the content side of the meetings industry right now is that we are able to still, in some way, offer our services and our products. As you mentioned, you're doing virtual events. You can't quarantine laughter. I mean, that's a perfect segue for you as far as where we are now. Okay, shameless plug, Greg. Thank you. No, but we have that luxury that a lot of people in the events industry do not have. We don't need as many. When you're not meeting face to face, you don't need virtual. The hotels and the air travel and all of the logistics to get people together. Where we found opportunity is that, again, on the virtual side, take a big internal company. Take a big, you want to get 100 salespeople together. You want to do a rally. You want to keep people pumped. It's probably harder to sell right now, anything, especially in the B2B space, than it's ever been. And so you can get, and before COVID, to get your sales team together, most people didn't really do virtual yet. Mm-hmm. So they would, gather them all together. You'd go to Orlando, you'd go to Vegas, you'd get everybody in a room, and all of the expenses associated with that were a lot. So groups can only do that maybe once a year. Now with virtual, you don't have any of those expenses. You can get a speaker for, a little bit less than the regular fee, or in some cases a lot less than the regular fee, and do it once a month.
Yeah, absolutely.
And bringing everybody together. So right. That's where the opportunity is for people that are sort of thinking through this.
Right. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said you can get them together once a month, and that way you can customize your topics more as far as what is going on in a particular month or what's maybe going on in Q2 that might not be going on in Q4. And you can have your speakers as opposed to just delivering the speech that they maybe put together every year and do for the full year. It can be a little more customized. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. And we've had some instances where a group is using a speaker, for maybe that keynote and then doing follow-up webinars and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Offering, books and other content that they have.
All right. Now you're from the speaker side, but I want to bring in Susan Ellis from GES. And of course, Susan, first of all, I want to see you on the screen. So can you say hi so we can move to you on the screen? There you go. Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Now, you're an account executive at GES, which stands for Global Experience Specialist. Am I right about that? Okay. I should probably point out we are doing this at 8:30 in the morning, so it's a little early to be memorizing acronyms, but I did my best. So you are more of an event and a marketing firm. I know that you book some speakers, but you're kind of more of a turnkey solution, whether that be trade shows and so forth. So tell me a little bit about how your business has evolved and what you've been doing since the pandemic began.
Well, this is a time for us to look at how we do business differently. And like John said, we cannot go face-to-face right now. So we are reinventing our services for our clients, and we are going virtual with many of our clients. So that's where we're looking.
Right. Okay. Now I've seen on your website, you're doing things like virtual trade shows. That's because I know you do a lot of trade shows, and that to me, that's a very funny term, but you've been using it you've had success with this concept, correct?
That's correct. Now, virtual has been around a long time, over 10 years. So it's at one point it was looked at as an accessory of your face-to-face marketing. So now we've pulled it up to the front. A lot of our exhibitors or a lot of our clients still need to get the message out to their clients. And so virtual is the way to go.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to ask both of you, once you do a virtual event, what kind of feedback are you getting from your clients? Because I have found when I am booked to speak virtually and I do the conference calls and so forth with the client, just like I do if I was performing live for them, and I kind of get this is going to be interesting, or we're a little hesitant, or we got with the group and we weren't sure we should do something at all. And I find at the end, when it's over, that they all are, to just for lack of a better phrase, pleasantly surprised at what the attendees got out of this. John, let's start with you. Are you finding that as well?
Yeah, we are, because it's a much more intimate way of communicating with your audience. And that's the thing that we found to be the biggest difference. And it's required a lot of speakers to change things up, to do things like, makeshift studios, like I'm sitting up here. And it's
my banner hasn't arrived yet. I keep hounding UPS for it, but yeah, it's coming.
But, I compare it to when, if you're an actor, and there are actors that thrive in front of that live audience, like that, live theater experience. There are actors that are terrible at that don't like it. And they're more comfortable in this looking at a camera experience. And so we've seen, speakers, develop different skills over the last few months. And for some of them, it's been a real natural, especially people that have had experience in media, like reporters, like filmmakers, who are really comfortable in this kind of environment. Those that aren't have had a lot more of an adjustment in terms of getting ready, but they're getting there. And, we've been, necessities of mother of invention, as they say, and we've been pretty impressed by what we've been seeing from our roster speakers and, people like you, Greg.
Yeah, it's true. They're getting there. I mean, it is an ongoing process. I mean, we were all thrust into this immediately. And whether you're a speaker or whether you're a vendor, we're all kind of making this up on the fly. But I think the fact that we all have success stories to tell shows that whatever we've done, it's working. Susan, how about your clients? What are they saying after they do attend a virtual trade show or one of the services that GES provides?
Well, a lot of our clients are doing the virtual, and what's important to them is measurement. So we can provide real-time measurement as the event's going. We can look at how many times people are looking at the different products that clients have. We can look at the length of time that they stay on the virtual event or the exhibit. So there's a lot of tracking and measurement that the clients look at to get the return on that investment.
Okay. Now, we always hear about when we get back to normal, or we get back to doing things the way they were. And that may happen and it may not. Do you both think that there is a future for virtual even if we do go back, even if all of a sudden we get a vaccine and say everybody, the country reopens like it was 6-8 months ago, and everybody's flying and all the hotels are saying, come on in, and all the convention centers and the conference centers and the trade show areas are saying, yeah, we're open for business. But do you think there still will be a place for virtual? John, I'll start with you.
Sure, absolutely. I think this has taught a lot of people how to do it, the value of doing it, and just in a few short months. Now, the large shows will come back. The large association events will come back, and they'll probably be the first two. There are a lot of, just revenue and budget parameters. When you're an association, you rely on that meeting, that trade show, that event, that sponsorship revenue that you get. Like I mentioned before, with some of the corporate events, I think, you'll probably see a return to that as well. But I think people may be, doing a lot of virtual, in between those times, as now everybody's used to it. And we've been, all staring at Zoom screens for the past 3 months, and we're all getting better at it. And it's not that bad.
Yeah. No, it's not. Susan, you agree?
No, I do agree. I agree. And I believe we will get back to face-to-face marketing, to go into trade, because we're human beings. We need that connection. Mm-hmm. But also we were looking at budgets and the economics of virtual. So I believe it's going to stay. I believe it's going to be at least 50-50. You'll see, the companies taking part of their budget and keeping it with virtual events, because they're finding they're getting a lot out of that.
Right.
The human connection will still be there.
Yeah, and if I could add one thing, I think that the difference, we've seen situations like this before where the meetings industry has plummeted. I always compare the last big problem we had was probably after the market meltdown of 2008, 2009. And all of a sudden it just became a bad thing to have an on-site meeting and spend the money and so forth. But the difference between that and this is that all the hotels and all the infrastructure involved in having meetings was still open. So I think all the hotels were saying, go ahead and have your virtual event. And when that doesn't work out, by the way, we are open. Come on back anytime. And I think that's what a lot of companies and a lot of associations did. They tried it once and they said, well, this isn't working. We'll just have to bite the bullet and we're going to go back to the hotels and do what we did.
As far as technology, though, Greg, I think we're a lot better than we were 10 years ago.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I'm talking 10 years ago. But I think also the fact that the hotels aren't open, it's forced people. And we're three living proof of that. It has forced all of us to say, this is the normal for right now. And how are we going to make the most of it? And from what I'm hearing from you and certainly from what I've experienced and the clients that have reached out to me and said, we don't care how you look. We don't care if we're looking at you on a screen. We just need to laugh for 30 minutes or so. And that's been strangely gratifying for me. It has. And I hope it has been for you as well.
No, absolutely. Like I mentioned, to know that our services are still valued, even in this challenging time for the business, has been a godsend.
Mm-hmm. And Susan, I have some parting words from you on that.
Keep doing what you're doing, Greg. And we all need to laugh. We all need to laugh now.
That's right. And we all need virtual, the virtual trade show thing. I actually did write a joke about that, about how that's probably the hardest thing to do virtually, because virtual trade show violates the one rule of attending trade shows, which is if I pass your booth and it's not nailed down, it's mine to keep. Isn't that why we go to trade shows? To come back with all that good stuff. Well, I want to thank you both for coming on here. It's great to see you, which sounds kind of funny, but I did see you. And what was great about this conversation is how positive it was and what we can take away from a situation like this. And it's great that you're working on new things. And I hope to see you again soon, either live or virtually. Thanks for your time.